Hey everyone, welcome back. I want to talk about the new Battlefield game and all these leaks we have been seeing over the past month, so let's jump into it. On the screen you see the concept art, I'm sure you have all seen it already. Journalist here says it notably features the same orange and blue color palette that was predominantly seen across Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Okay, fine. I like the new concept art. I think going back to the old Battlefield colors and hammering home that palette is a good thing. It's what everybody is familiar with. However, what everybody is not familiar with is how clunky their last game was, Battlefield 2042. And I'm specifically speaking about the vehicle clunk. If you ever saw Battlefield 2042's helicopters flying around, they looked like they're RC helicopters that your mother bought for $5 in 1998. I feel like this clunk that game had, and then when you compare it to Battlefield 5, which didn't have that much clunk, and Battlefield 1, of course, and the earlier games, that clunk kind of added to the feeling of the game being cheap and amateur feeling. And I really hope to nail down this oomph we had with the vehicles from back in the day. That oomph, I think, is very important for the first impression. And first impression is very important when you're releasing a new game, specifically when they're going to offer the playtest early next year, they said. So I will be playing this playtest, of course. When I do join in, I hope to see that oomph there. The second, a very important thing they have to nail for that playtest is having an excellent playtest map. I played alphas of every Battlefield from Battlefield 3, and they were all bad, including BF3, because it was just Metro Rush with no textures. It sucked. What we need here is a good map that is excellently designed, which doesn't have the problems that Battlefield 4 had and that Battlefield 1 and BF 2042 had, something strong. I think they need to show their best map here, and they need to introduce the one that they work the most on. Because we need to be impressed. They have a lot to make up with fucking BF5 and Battlefield 2042. So I'm expecting here to see a super familiar map that is kind of Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4 style, but it plays very well and doesn't play like Flood Zone or Narvik or Orbital. Now, I'm sure you heard this before. Maybe you noticed it. Maybe some of your friends told you, and they told you, hey bro, I don't know what is it about Battlefield 2042, but something just doesn't feel right about that game. I'm here to tell you one of the main reasons what that is. The game just has no ambient sound, guys. I mean, you hear no little snakes, you don't hear little birds, you don't hear little snails crawling around, you don't hear any rocks, there's like no water sounds, there's nothing. It's just gunfire, and when there is no gunfire, it's dead silence, like I'm on a graveyard. I think that's terrible. The only time you hear some like big sounds is maybe when there's like some of the revolutions happening on Orbital, I guess with the tornado or some of those things. And I think that was a really big mistake on their part from their sound engineer. We need to have some good ambient sound because they add to the immersion. Imagine if Battlefield 1 didn't have any of those sounds of the artillery firing, machine gun fire, gas, and all this other good stuff. And it was just absolutely silent. It would feel off and weird. And that's exactly how Battlefield 2042 feels. One overlooked aspect of Battlefield 2042 which led to its failure, I think, is how ambitious that game was. And already here for this game, they're already saying the same thing, that we're gonna have 4 studios working on this DICE, Motive, Ripple Effect, and Criterion. And you know what's the other game they worked on? Battlefield 2042. I think it's now proven and tested that when you're too ambitious with your game, especially when it comes to Battlefield, nothing really gets done. I mean, we got Portal, we got the Hazard Zone, and all these other modes that were dead like as soon as the game came out back in 2021. None of them really worked, and people just opted out to play the regular Conquest and Breakthrough and all this other good stuff. Even the super ambitious Conquest 128 and Breakthrough 128 were not very much loved, and for a good reason, because they were boring. I think they really need to curb this down a little bit and let DICE focus on the multiplayer aspect, build us 8 solid vanilla maps and a good game with nice ambient sound and all the other good stuff, and then Motive, Ripple, and Criterion can then work on the bones of that foundation. The final thing should be progression. I think progression on launch day should be good, and it needs to not come in 2 seconds like we got it in Battlefield 4. We unlocked everything so quick. I think it needs to be progressive, and the upgrades that we get need to be powerful, need to be fun, need to be creative, and so on. I'm talking specifically for vehicle upgrades, but I think some of the gun stuff, I don't see why they wouldn't copy some stuff from Call of Duty. The gun bench there is very popular. Now, Delta forestalled that gun bench from Call of Duty. Maybe Battlefield 6 or whatever it's gonna be called should have some type of a gun bench so you could like really make a gun your own. I know it's a bit controversial opinion, but I think such progression and customization really keeps player attention on top of the everything else we've already mentioned. Man, I really hope the next Battlefield game is gonna be that game we all have 3,000 hours sunken into. I think we all really need this. Whether you're a boomer or a zoomer, I think everybody wouldn't mind having a very good Battlefield game. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, leave me a like. Tell me what are your opinions. Do you agree with my opinions? What are yours? See you next time.